February in search of a patron, Davenport traveled to New York to lunch with Mrs. E.H. Harriman, widow of a recently deceased railroad magnate.
Davenport's pitch to Mrs. Harriman was to say, right now you give your money to all kinds of good organizations. They feed the poor, they clothe the poor, they do many wonderful things, but it's never ending. With eugenics, we eventually won't need your philanthropy and charity because we'll solve the problems that right now you're just throwing money at. He persuaded Mrs. Harriman that the future of the country was at stake and that only a eugenic project could save it.
Charles Davenport says, all you people who think that if we just educate the poor, if we just give them charity, if we just reform their environment, even the poor can rise to our level, forget about it. That's just sentimental hogwash. It's not the environment that makes you what you are, it's your genetic inheritance from your parents. So now, yes, let's regulate the matings of human beings, eliminate the bad genes in the population, and keep the fittest genes in the gene pool.
By limiting the birth of people who were deemed to be unfit, you were, by definition, enhancing the stock of human society. And so there was this social mission of really fighting dependency, fighting crime, through eugenics. The idea was that eugenics would solve all of these broader social problems if enacted in a robust way.
Mrs. Harriman was a great believer in the importance of proper matings. She credited her late husband's interest in horse breeding for that. And she enthusiastically pledged to finance Davenport's eugenic enterprise. It was, Davenport later wrote in his journal, a red-letter day for humanity.
The impulse to perfect humanity is an ancient aspiration. The idea that somehow or the other that you can get the best humans by selectively breeding the best, most fit, hardiest, most beautiful, it's an ancient desire. You find it in Sanskrit texts, you find it in Greek texts. The trouble is that only some human beings can dictate or decide what the correct features might be. Who decides?
Charles Davenport thought by breeding a superior race of people, we can bring about the millennial kingdom on earth.
The problem with utopias is that they set a set of aspirations that then blind you to a certain set of consequences. And that can be dangerous.
In October 1910, on an 80-acre plot adjacent to the Cold Spring Harbor campus, Charles Davenport opened the doors of his new institute. It was a modest structure built for a grand purpose: to house hereditary information on American families and use it to guide the reproductive choices of the nation. He called it the Eugenics Record Office.
Eugenic ideas were very much floating around as early as 1880. But Davenport gave eugenics teeth. He was institutionalizing eugenics. He was marshaling people around a research program.